Welcome to the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner prepcast, where we guide you through everything you need to know for your certification exam. Whether you're just starting or looking to refine your knowledge, this course will set you up for success. Brought to you by baremetalcyber.com. Let's get started. When we think of cloud computing, it is easy to imagine something abstract data floating around in the air, disconnected from the physical world. In reality, cloud services like AWS depend on a very real, very large physical infrastructure. This infrastructure is the backbone of every service AWS provides. Behind every website you visit, app you use, or file you store in the cloud, there are actual servers, cables, and data centers that make it possible. Understanding this infrastructure is important because it explains how AWS delivers reliability, speed, and security at a global scale. Without this foundation, none of the higher-level services could function. At the center of AWS infrastructure are regions. A region is a specific geographic area where AWS has placed a group of data centers. For example, there is a region in Northern Virginia, another in Frankfurt, and many more around the world. Each region is designed to give customers control over where their data and systems run. Businesses may choose a region close to their users to reduce delay, or they may pick a region in a certain country to meet legal requirements. Regions provide the flexibility to align technology with business needs and local conditions. Inside each region are availability zones, often abbreviated as AZs. These are individual data centers or clusters of data centers within the region. Each availability zone is isolated from others, with separate power, cooling, and networking. But all AZs in a region are connected with high-speed links. This design ensures that if one availability zone experiences an outage, the others can continue running. By spreading resources across multiple AZs, businesses achieve high availability. Imagine a city with multiple power plants. If one plant shuts down, the city still has electricity from the others. Availability zones provide that same resilience for cloud systems. Another key piece of AWS infrastructure is edge locations. These are smaller sites placed in cities around the world that bring content closer to users. They work with services like Amazon CloudFront, a content delivery network that caches data such as videos, images, and web pages at these locations. The result is faster performance because users don't have to wait for information to travel across the globe. For example, someone watching a video in Tokyo might receive the stream from a nearby edge location rather than from a data center in the United States. Edge locations are like local libraries that keep popular books on hand so readers don't have to request them from far away. Local zones are another part of the AWS global structure. These are smaller extensions of AWS regions placed closer to large population centers. While regions and availability zones cover wide areas, local zones bring services even closer to end users who need very low delay. This is especially important for industries like media production, where video editing requires real-time processing, or gaming, where lag can ruin the experience. Local zones give customers access to core services like compute and storage without the need to build their own facilities, combining convenience with performance. A newer development is wavelength zones, which extend AWS infrastructure into 5G networks. These zones bring cloud resources directly into the mobile network, allowing applications that rely on ultra-low latency to perform better. Think about self-driving cars or augmented reality apps. These require responses in fractions of a second. By embedding AWS services inside 5G provider networks, wavelength zones make these advanced applications possible. It is an example of how AWS continues to evolve, pushing its infrastructure closer to where users and devices actually are. When customers choose a region, they must consider several factors. Proximity to users is important for performance, but there are also legal and regulatory issues. Some countries require certain types of data, such as financial or healthcare information, to stay within their borders. This is called data residency. Selecting the right region ensures compliance with these rules. Businesses may also choose regions for cost reasons, as prices can vary. Another factor is service availability, since not every AWS service is offered in every region. Region selection is a strategic decision that balances performance, compliance, cost, and features. Data residency and compliance are especially critical in industries with strict regulations. For example, a hospital may need to store patient records in a region that meets specific healthcare privacy standards. A bank may have to keep financial records within its home country to satisfy regulators. AWS addresses these needs by offering regions in many parts of the world, allowing organizations to select where their data resides. This flexibility helps customers build trust with their clients and meet their legal obligations without building and maintaining their own data centers in every location. One of the biggest advantages of this global infrastructure is reach. AWS customers can serve users anywhere in the world without physically being there. A small business in South America can launch an application that feels just as responsive to users in Europe as it does locally. Global reach also allows businesses to expand quickly into new markets. Instead of building facilities in each country, they simply activate resources in the nearest AWS region. This makes global business possible for companies of all sizes, not just multinational giants with vast resources. Redundancy is built into AWS infrastructure by design. Redundancy means having extra systems in place so that if one fails, another can take over. In AWS, this comes from multiple availability zones in each region and multiple regions worldwide. For customers, this means fewer single points of failure. Even if one part of the system is disrupted by power loss, hardware failure, or a natural disaster, services can continue running. This fault-tolerant design is one of the reasons businesses trust AWS with critical workloads. It reduces risk and ensures smoother operations. Disaster recovery is another area where AWS infrastructure plays a key role. In the past, companies needed to maintain expensive backup data centers just in case something went wrong. Today, they can use AWS to create recovery environments that are ready to activate whenever needed. If one region experiences a disaster, data and systems can be restored in another. This reduces downtime and limits financial loss. Disaster recovery is like having a spare tire in your car. You may not use it often, but when you need it, it keeps you moving. AWS makes disaster preparedness practical and affordable. The networking backbone of AWS connects all of these regions, availability zones, and edge locations. AWS invests heavily in undersea cables, fiber connections, and private networks to link its infrastructure across continents. This backbone ensures that data moves quickly, securely, and reliably between locations. Customers benefit from this invisible network every time they access services, often without realizing the complexity behind it. The backbone is like the road system in a city. Most people just drive where they need to go, without thinking about the construction and maintenance that keeps traffic flowing smoothly. Finally, AWS emphasizes energy efficiency and sustainability in its infrastructure design. Data centers consume significant amounts of power, and AWS has made commitments to using renewable energy sources like wind and solar. Efficient cooling systems, advanced hardware, and careful management reduce waste and environmental impact. Sustainability is not only good for the planet, but also increasingly important for businesses that want to meet their environmental goals. By using AWS, customers benefit from these large-scale sustainability investments, making their own operations greener without having to build renewable energy systems themselves. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. One of the most practical aspects of AWS infrastructure is that not all services are available in every region. This means that when a company selects where to run its applications, it must also check which AWS services are offered there. For example, advanced services in artificial intelligence or machine learning may only be available in certain regions. This reality shapes how businesses design their solutions. While the core building blocks like computing and storage are almost everywhere, Specialized tools might require choosing a specific region, or even using multiple regions to access everything needed. Latency, or the delay in moving data, is another important factor when discussing AWS infrastructure. The farther information has to travel, the longer it takes to reach its destination. AWS reduces latency by offering regions and edge locations around the world, placing resources closer to end users. Companies can also design their applications to route traffic efficiently, ensuring a smooth user experience. For example, a video call app benefits from placing servers as close as possible to participants. AWS infrastructure gives businesses the ability to optimize performance by carefully choosing where their services are hosted. Many organizations adopt multi-region architectures to maximize reliability and performance. This means running systems in more than one region at the same time. If one region has an issue, another can take over, minimizing disruption. This approach is common in industries where downtime has high costs, such as banking or healthcare. Multi-region designs also allow businesses to serve customers from the nearest location, improving speed. While it adds complexity, the benefits of resilience and global responsiveness make it worthwhile for many organizations. Multi-region strategies demonstrate the flexibility and power of the AWS global network. Backup and recovery strategies are greatly enhanced by AWS infrastructure. Instead of storing copies of data in a single location, companies can replicate it across multiple availability zones or regions. This ensures that even if one system fails, data remains safe elsewhere. Businesses can choose recovery options ranging from simple backups to full-scale standby systems that activate instantly. AWS provides tools to automate these processes, reducing the risk of human error. Backup and recovery in the cloud are like having multiple spare keys stored safely. You may never need them, but they are available when the unexpected happens. The scalability benefits of AWS infrastructure cannot be overstated. Scalability means the ability to grow or shrink resources to match demand. Because AWS operates such a vast global network, it can offer resources that feel almost limitless. A small company can start with minimal capacity and expand to serve millions of customers without building new data centers. This scalability empowers innovation, since businesses no longer fear being limited by infrastructure. Whether handling sudden growth or seasonal spikes, AWS ensures that capacity is there when needed and scales back when demand falls, keeping costs aligned with usage. Edge services like Amazon CloudFront bring the advantages of AWS infrastructure even closer to end users. CloudFront is a content delivery network that stores copies of data at edge locations worldwide. This means users access information from the nearest point rather than traveling across continents. For example, when streaming a movie, the video may come from an edge location just miles away rather than a distant region. This reduces buffering and improves user experience. Edge services illustrate how AWS extends its infrastructure beyond traditional data centers, ensuring responsiveness no matter where customers are located. AWS Outposts is another way the company extends its infrastructure. Outposts allow customers to run AWS services on physical hardware installed in their own facilities while still connecting to the broader AWS environment. This is valuable for organizations that require certain workloads to remain on-site due to regulatory or performance reasons, but still want the benefits of the cloud. Outposts provides a consistent experience, blending local resources with AWS's global network. Think of it as having a mini AWS data center right inside your own building, directly linked to the larger cloud. Global expansion use cases highlight the practical value of AWS infrastructure. A small startup might begin in one country and then quickly attract users worldwide. With AWS, they can expand by deploying resources in new regions without setting up their own international offices or facilities. Large enterprises also use AWS to enter new markets faster. Instead of investing millions in building data centers overseas, they can activate AWS resources in minutes. This ability to expand globally at low cost and high speed is one of the reasons cloud adoption continues to grow across all industries. Compliance with regional regulations is another area where AWS infrastructure provides value. Different countries have unique laws about data privacy, financial reporting, and digital operations. AWS helps businesses comply by offering regions in those countries and providing certifications that meet regulatory standards. For example, a European business can use AWS regions that comply with GDPR, the European Union's privacy law. Compliance becomes much easier when infrastructure is already designed to meet these requirements. Customers can focus on their own responsibilities without worrying about the underlying environment. Hybrid connectivity is also possible with AWS infrastructure. Hybrid means combining traditional on-site systems with cloud resources. For example, a company might keep sensitive data on local servers but use AWS for web hosting or backup. AWS provides connectivity options like VPNs and Direct Connect to make this integration smooth. Hybrid models allow organizations to transition to the cloud gradually rather than all at once. This flexibility helps reduce resistance and gives companies more control. Hybrid connectivity shows that cloud adoption does not have to be an all-or-nothing choice. It can be tailored to unique needs. From an exam perspective, understanding infrastructure concepts is crucial. You don't need to know the engineering details, but you should be able to explain regions, availability zones, edge locations, and the benefits of global infrastructure. The exam may ask about how AWS ensures reliability, what redundancy means, or why a business would choose one region over another. Knowing these basics will help you answer confidently and also apply the knowledge in real-life conversations about cloud strategy. Infrastructure is the foundation, and exam questions will reflect its importance. Infrastructure truly serves as the base for everything AWS offers. Without the physical data centers, networking cables, and energy-efficient designs, higher-level services like artificial intelligence, machine learning, or big data analytics could not function. By investing billions into its infrastructure, AWS creates a platform that customers can trust to build their own systems. Understanding this foundation gives you perspective. Every service you learn about later is built on top of this global network. Appreciating the physical layer helps you see the bigger picture of how cloud computing works. Looking ahead, AWS continues to expand its network. Each year, new regions, availability zones, and edge locations are announced. This growth reflects both customer demand and the increasing importance of cloud computing in everyday life. As technologies like 5G, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things continue to evolve, AWS will extend its infrastructure to meet new needs. The future will likely bring infrastructure that is even closer to end users, more efficient in energy use, and more integrated with emerging technologies. Staying aware of this evolution helps learners remain relevant as the cloud grows. As we close this episode, remember that AWS Global Infrastructure is more than just a technical detail. It is the backbone that makes cloud services reliable, secure, and fast. From regions and availability zones to edge locations and outposts, each part plays a role in supporting businesses worldwide. Infrastructure ensures redundancy, compliance, and performance at scales that individual organizations could never achieve on their own. By understanding this foundation, you are better prepared not only for the exam, but also for real-world discussions about cloud strategy. The cloud may feel invisible, but its infrastructure is what makes it real. That concludes today's episode of the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner Prepcast. Be sure to tune in for the next episode and visit us online at baremetalcyber.com or cyberauthor.me for more resources, including news, mailing lists, YouTube videos, podcasts, and much more.